Hello everybody, Cygnus here. Yes, finally, after months and months of waiting, I'm apologize, but we are back with our programming, and this time we are going to finish up our simple snake game, and maybe even possibly add more into it. And this time, maybe not wait 2-3 months for it to come out, you know? But hey, we're back and we're finally back, able to finish this game. So as you see here, if we load this up, this is where we got through. We got through making the borders, making our character snake, and if we do WASD, we are able to move that snake game. Now we also made it so that when it hits the border, game over. Um, didn't really see there, but boom, game over. All right, first things first. What in this episode, what we're going to do is actually make the target. So, the little fruit or the little circle, dot, whatever that you collect, and you get points out of that. And also in this video is that we are going to do the tail, which is possibly the hardest thing if right now, if I can say. We'll definitely get into some errors, but we'll figure that out as we go along. It's fine. All yeah, so that's pretty much what's going to be happen. I do want to say though, one thing that I found as an error is that when I go up, I actually stop there. See how that's not really the border? That's kind of like the, you know, second-ish, the third, yeah, second from the border, which isn't what we want. And the reason for this is because we actually hit it. We say that we hit our height at that point. What I do want to do then is, I think it was in the, not in the game window, not in the game input, was it in the program, snake border hit? Yes, right here. Okay, so if snake border is hit, this is correct, the width at least, which is what we went through, but with the height, so I mean, okay, I'll show you with the width. Yes, it hits the correct, when it hits a border, the game stops. This one as well, when it hits the border, the game stops. But with the height, we don't want that actually to be less than or equal to, we just want that to be less than. So we don't want it to be equal to any of the height and stuff. So we'll get that there and see it kind of hits because of the height difference. Obviously, if this was bunched up together, if there was no line spacing, that would have hit the border, so that makes more sense than the other one, and definitely this one too. See, that does hit the border there as well. So this is just the first minor change that I found that was kind of incorrect, but it's all right. Now onto our target. Obviously, we created our target x and y value here, which is good. That means we do have a target. It's just not showing. We have a target, but it's not showing. So we want to show that, and that would be in our game window where we display everything. Our target will be inside the body, not the borders, inside the body, and we will draw this after we draw our snake. So another else if here, else if, and pretty much same thing with our snake is that if our I is the same as our target y, and if our j is the same as the target x, then we will draw our target. So we'll do that if I is equal to target y and j is equal to target x. We will print out our target, and I'll just make that a no, because I said there are those little cycle things. So guess what? This should definitely work. And boom, it created our target right there. We just gotta get to it without dying. And the only reason why we're dying is because we're moving too quick. The computer is going so quick that my input, like, I can barely. But I got there. See, look, with that timing, which is super hard. Yep, I didn't get there, but it's just going too quick. And also, when you saw there, when I went through the target, it didn't really do anything. Nothing happened. What we do want to do first is we solve that speed. It's too quick. This is definitely too quick for me. I can't work with that, especially when I'm just testing it. So what we want to do is we actually include another thing, and this is just to slow things down, and it's just windows.h. And if I can get that, okay, I can't get that. windows.h. All right, and I don't need this. And what that does is we'll just go down to our main here. So to our main, and we'll just say sleep, which is a function of that Windows H, and we'll just put a timer like something 30, or obviously if you want it slower, go 50, just whatever suits you. I'm just doing 30 right now. And you see how it's definitely slower, and I can definitely work with that, and it's not it's not really straining me or like making me try and time it perfectly, because it's good enough. Now, as you saw, when we went to the target, nothing really happened. We just pretty much did the target. That's it. Obviously, we want something to happen. We want our score to increase, and we want good things to happen. Well, that's in the program. Snake board hit, pretty much the same. What happens if our snake hits target? Well, like you'd expect, we'd have to calculate that, hey, this is equal to the same as the target of the target x rx is the same as target x, ry is the same as target y. Therefore we will get +1 on our score. So we'll do that if our user x is equal to our target x, and our user y is equal to our target y. We will score, because we already created score. So score is already a variable, as you see here, int score. We already made that a variable. So now we just need to give that score a value. Score plus equals 1. Or better yet, score plus plus. All right, that just adds 1 to score. So now if we run this, we should add our score. And oh wait, okay. One thing is we actually won't be able to tell what our score is. I'll just add it here. So on the bottom border, we'll just put a score in. Count score. And yeah, we'll just do that. So now it should say 0. If it doesn't, then therefore there's a problem. Yep, 0. And if we touch our, see how it says 1. Touch it again, 2. Yep, all right. So that's good. We got a score there. What we do want though is we can't just have it at the same place, the same area all the time when we touch it. So we need to change its location. I'll do that before we add the score. We'll actually want to change it before we add the score. Otherwise, if it puts it in the same place, it just keeps adding. It's better if we just make it the same position. Change the position first, I should say. So we'll get our target X, and we'll actually, you know what we'll do? We'll just repeat this whole line. Yep, just copy that over, chuck that in. Oops, not that in there. Over here, please. There you go, and done. Now, it's gonna do what you think it's gonna do. It's gonna change locations, and obviously I'm bad at the game, so I'd hit the border. All right, let's get this. Boom, 1, and it changed positions. And if we get this, ooh, 2. All right. And 3. Yep, see how it just keeps increasing. 4. And there you go. We pretty much got it. That's it. There's your snake game. There's the target system. And yeah, that's how it be. Alright, that's the end of this vid. Okay, no, we still need to go through the tail. And yeah, we'll get there. I'm kind of having fun right now. Hold on. Give me a second. Ooh, look at that. I'm goated. Alright, hold on. One more. Nope. Boom. Boom. Easy. Oh, okay. I was bad then. Alright, that's alright. We'll get started on our tail. We'll save that so we don't destroy it. Now our tail, we'll put that in the user variables because obviously our tail is our user. So we'll create an integer for that. Now, the concept of the tail, it's kind of difficult. Basically, if I can get paint, my trusty paint here, what we want to do is we want to create tails. So there's our character. we want to create the amount of tails based on our score, pretty much. So let's say our score is 0, then obviously we don't have any tail. If our score is 1, then we have 1 tail. If our score is 2, we have 2 tails. Obviously, it really does depend, if you want it to have a tail when your score is like every 5, so that's 0 points. And then at the 5th point, you have another tail, and at the 10th, you have another tail. It really does depend, but we'll stick with the increments of 1 for now. So at score 1, you'd get a tail. At score 2, you get another tail, and until you're like score 100, which I applaud you if you do become score 100. Then you have 100 tails. But since we're running a 25 by 25 grid, in my calculations, big brain maths and calculator. I meant, no, not calculator. 25 times 25 is 625. 625, so you can have 625 tails. Wow. Oh, well, you can have a score of 625 then to reach the maximum amount of tails. I think. Or is it like you do 24 by 24 because you only counted the inside? Anyways, um, I don't know what I'm saying. But pretty much what we want to do is we want to create an array of our tail. Because obviously we want this to keep growing our tail each time. But the thing is, we don't know, like, the only time we know that, hey, this is the 10th part of the tail is if we create an array. So we'll do like well, I'll show it to you here. We'll have our tail x, the x coordinate of our tail, and the y coordinate of our tail. Now, obviously, this x coordinate and the y coordinate would follow the target. Would follow the target, not the target. What am I saying? The player would follow the player. But I guess you can say like which tail would follow the player. It'd start off with tail 0, and then tail 1 would follow, and then tail 2 would follow, and then tail 3 would follow, kind of thing. Well, I'm gonna say like the max amount of tails you can have is 1. So up to the 100th tail. And this is, we need to have tail length, so that's like our current length. So out of the 100th tails, which one are we up to right now? Pretty much is what that's saying there. So we can go down to our so we made the tail. In our setup, we don't really create the tail. We only create it when our score is 10. I guess we can draw the tail. So I guess here when we create our our body, we can do another else if, right? Else if let's say doesn't really work, eh? No. We'll do it here. We'll do it in our else, so we don't really have to say anything on our else. So we'll scratch that. Yes, we will make it spaces, but we'll scratch that for now. Else if, and we'll make another boolean, and this is our tail. So if our tail is equal to, we'll make it false for now. So we have a false tail. We don't really have a tail yet. For int k equals 0, k equals tail length. The reason why I'm doing this is because we already use I, J, and then obviously the next letter is K. Wait, is it H, I, J, K? Yes, it is. Okay. So this is saying that if for every K value, if it's if it's less than our tail length, then we add K. We add 1 to K. And since our tail length is, no, it's really 0, but it's still not above 0, or it's not like, so we keep adding. And if our Now this is where we go with our coordinates. So if our tail x coordinate, um, the k, so the number of our tail length. So let's say here our tail length is 0, k is 0. If tail 0 is equal to the j, what we're drawing. So if, or I mean, to make this easier in the same format, if what we're drawing is equal to the location of tail x and is equal to the x coordinate of our tail at the k place. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah. So let's say this is our first tail. Our first tail, if our height that we're drawing, so if it goes, it goes border, border, and then I think it's better if I show it in paint here. If it's border, and then border, and then we'll make this like always, and then space, and then more space, and then border, space, and then you got your snake, space, and then border. Pretty much what this is saying as well is that border, space, and our first tail, draw, and then space, and then border. So that's pretty much it. Same thing. And if our I is equal to tail y, k, then we will print our tail. So our tail should be smaller case s. The only reason I'm doing this because it makes sense, tiny s's. And now with this, our tail would equal true. That means we have a tail now. But if we do not have a tail, so if we do have a tail, my bad. That means if not tail, so if not false, pretty much is that what it's saying, because we set tail to false at the beginning. So if we do have a tail, then we would, for the rest of the other areas, we just put a space. There you go. If I do something right now, it actually wouldn't work because we haven't really put in our tail yet. Like the tail is at 0 right now. Like there's no way we're gonna have a tail. So we need to make that. We need to have a tail. We need to put that tail in. So what we're gonna do is in our program, if I can find it here, in our game program, and we'll do it before we actually move the snake, or no, we can do it. Well, yeah, okay. So when the snake hits the target, we get a score ++, and every time we get a score, we'll have a tail. So the tail length would actually increase as well. So tail length ++. Now, this should increase our tail length. Oh, if I can play this game. What you will see here is actually sys. If I can play this game, because I'm very bad at it. What you actually see here is an S should be on the corner. It hasn't set the coordinates for it yet, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay. No, that's my bad. I haven't set the coordinates for it. Like, yes, I created it. Tail 1, it exists, but hey, where is it? I don't know. It's in this world somewhere. So we gotta get our tail positions. Or coordinates, I should say. Yeah, it's pretty much these aren't really okay. How can I explain this? It's just, I guess you can say it's the x of the tail and the y of the tail. X as in like the horizontal place of the tail, or the horizontal factor of the tail, and the vertical factor of the tail. We need this. We need to separate this. The reason why we need an x and a y is because if the tail's going up, or if it's going left, or it's going right, we need to specify which tail it is. And obviously, yeah, we have the same, I guess, number, or like the same nth tail. and that's where the 100 is. Basically, I'm saying here is that 100 is the max amount of tails you can have. In here, we are at first, where it started at 0, so we draw the 0th tail at the J and at I. Obviously, we don't have that tail because this is the 0 tail, so we don't draw it, and it goes again next. It draws, and since our tail length would increase when we get a fruit, that means it'd be 1. So K would equal 1. That means our tail X would be 1 here, 1, and it's the first tail, and that's where we're going to draw it on our first tail. So we'll go with the positioning of our tail. So we'll get our tail coordinates, and that's another integer. And we want that for the first position of our X tail. We want the first position of our Y tail, and then when it follows, we actually create like a second position. So pretty much, let's say in a grid, in this beautiful grid of mine that is terrible, but still beautiful, just terrible. We have our, let's say our snake was here, right? Our tail was here. That's the first position of our tail. Now, when our snake moves right, our snake goes here. Our tail goes to the first. This now becomes the first position for our tail. So this is our tail, and this becomes the second position. But this would have the next tail, or if not, it's just be a blank space. So it just be like that. It just increase the first position, second position, and as we move, this is going to be the first position, this is going to be the second position, and it's just going to keep doing that. So yeah, that's pretty much the positioning of our first position and first position there, and then we got our second position X and our second position Y. Now these are the coordinates. So yeah, we'll create here the first position. So we'll do it on top, our tail. Our first position, our F pos and the X must equal to the null value. So that must be like, yeah, sorry. That'd be the first position, that'd be the second position if I was to do that. So in the grid again, my bad. The head of the snake is the first position, or the 0 tail, if I can say, because it's not a tail. So that is equal to X. Same with the, oops, sorry, I forgot to close it. The F position Y is equal to tail Y. That's and that's a 0 because it's a head. And our head, so our head of the tail is actually equal to our X coordinate, and our head of the Y is actually equal to the head of our Y, of our user. So see what I did there? I made the first position be the first, or the 0 tail, but because that's a 0 tail, that's actually the head bit, and that head bit is our X and Y values. Now we've created the first and first positions. We need to establish what the second position is. Now this second position would be equal to the tail length, or would be the tail length, kind of like if there was only one tail, obviously there'd only be one second position, or the second position would equal to that one tail. And then if there's 2 tails, then the second position would be equal to the second and the third tail, I guess. You'll see what I mean. So we'll do a for loop, and we don't have an I variable, so we can go int I, and we'll make that equal to 1. And this is, we will run this if we have, like, this will run, I should say, if we have more than one tail. So I is greater than tail length, See, okay, now the reason why we will run this if we have more than one tail is because right now our tail length is at 0. We don't have anything. So since I is actually greater than 0, this pretty much gets nulled. We pretty much won't do this. Alright. Now, if our tail length suddenly becomes 1, if we grab a fruit or a target, that means our tail length is 1. Therefore, we run this code. And this code is basically saying, hey, at the first position, when that first position moves, the previous position would be the second position. So the second position, x, would actually equal to the new tail x, and that is equal to the I value, what we're at right now. So if it's a first tail, second tail, third tail, whatever. The second position y would equal to the y tail, and whether that be the first, second, third, depending on the tail length. And then if we move again, so this is setting up the second position. We'll have another grid, so it's cleaner. Oh, would you look at that? We have curved edges. If I can draw properly. So pretty much this becomes the actually first position. How many tails? Let's say we have 2 tails. This is the second position. What happens is when we move, right? Or when we get a tail or when we move, this first tail still is the first position. But tail xi, which is 1, tail 1, which used to be this used to be tail 1, who was in the second position, will now become in the previous first position. It's kind of hard to explain, but like here, tail x1 or whatever number tail is now in the first position x, and tail y1 or whatever is now in the first position on y. See? So now this is the head, this becomes the tail. And it was in the very first position. And then the first position, the previous first position, oh my gosh, I can't speak. But the previous first position, because this turned to the first position, this would now be the second position. So then our first position x would then become the second position x. And our first position y would become the second position y. Hopefully you guys are understanding this. Like I said, it is the most difficult bit of the code. But this is pretty much the following program, and obviously as it moves here, this becomes this second position, the tail moves here, this becomes the first position, and this becomes the second position, and so on with the rest. Alright, so now if we do run this, we will actually get a tail, hopefully. So let's go ahead and boom, see? Look, we have a tail. And it's following us because, you know, it's changing position each time. It's running the code. Hey, oh, it's second position now, first position now, second position now. Yep, change. And we're increasing. Every time we eat, we get another position or we get another tail. And that tail, each time the position changes. And it just follows us around. Right. There's your tail. Very hard to explain. Again, if you guys didn't really understand it and you have questions, I'm happy to go through with it with you again. There's no stress at all to ask questions because this is very confusing. Even I was confused the very first time. Like I was trying it. I think I did about 24, 25 tries before I actually got it. Maybe even more because I did spend about 2 days trying to figure out the tail. Yeah, but that's it. And one problem is, yes, I hit the walls and game over, but if I hit my tail, it's not game over. See how I went through it, and we pretty much just want to say, hey, hit your tail, whichever tail it is, you're dead. So we'll do it here. Snake border, same thing. Snake tail hit. If the RX hmm, no, because we want to say it hits every tail. Because like if I just say RX hits tail X here, they're gonna be like, oh, which one? Is it the first tail, the second tail, the third tail? No, we want it like every tail. So we want for int I equals 0, so we're clear it there, and I is greater than, let's just use our tail length, I plus plus. Obviously, because our tail length keeps increasing, this is actually pretty much a forever while loop while our tail exists. And then that's when we go, if our x is equal to our tail x on every tail I, and if our y is equal to our tail y on every tail, then we close the game. So snake game equals false. So GG, goodbye, you lose, you suck. More like I suck, because I can't play this game. Alright, so obviously we're not gonna kill ourselves with 2. We gotta get more. And I'm really scared of stuffing up, because I did not want to lose all my progress. Ah! I missed that? Nope. Okay. Alright, this should be enough. And there you go. I died. Gone. Klongski. And that's it. Yeah, we are done the snake game. Yeah, we've got the snake there, we got our score here, we've got the target there, we've got our borders. If we hit our borders, we're dead. No problems there. If we hit the target, our score increases to 1 and we get a tail. And if we hit our tail, which we witnessed earlier, oops, sorry, no, I don't need that, which we witnessed earlier, we die and game over. Yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in this video. And there's the third part. You pretty much made your simple snake game. Next video, which will definitely be released soon. I promise you guys that. I'm not gonna wait another month on this. I already did the preparations for it. I already tried to figure out how I'm gonna do it. But next video, we will actually be working on the main menu. Obviously, snake game, it's not just, oh, border, you know, grab the target. Obviously, this is just gonna be boring. I actually want to have, like, let's say game modes, this game mode. This is the normal game mode where you hit a border and you hit your tail, you're screwed. Then there's the borderless game mode where you can just go through the borders and you go to the other side. Or there's the maze game mode where there's like different puzzles or different obstacles along the way. So yeah, we'll go to that. Obviously, that's a far off distance, but next video would definitely be just the main menu and how I can, like, press, if I press start game, I'll take me to this game. So yeah, thanks guys for watching, and hopefully you did enjoy that. Sorry again that it took a while for me to go through. There's just been a lot going on, but I am now back. I'm also streaming on Twitch. I'm trying to get that often. Not really. I do it when I have the time to. When I do play games, but recently it hasn't just been games for me. It's been a lot of studying, starting my degree. But hey, it's alright. I still have the time to, come along, chat, play streams. I'm also streaming Profall, which is a new MMORPG, and they've just gone out of closed beta, so I'll stream them, and it's gonna be fun. So yeah, come along to Twitch on that one. And stay tuned for more of the snake videos. I might also post other gameplay videos, so stay tuned in that. Alright, thanks guys. Have a good one. Oh!